for the worst energy supply shortage in U.S. history? Are you ready to spend 50% more on a gallon of gasoline? Are you ready for yet another round of price hikes at our major stores as diesel prices continue to soar? Are you ready for another shortage of everything? And are you ready for widespread blackouts all over the nation this summer? We've been warned that all of these things were coming. And guess what? Now they're here. The most devastating energy crisis this country has ever seen is posed to get even worse in the months ahead. And by now, nothing can be done to magically solve our problems. Today, we're exposing the threats and challenges that are about to hit us in the coming weeks and months, and also the obstacles many Americans are already facing right now. But before moving on, please support us by leaving a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel so you don't miss our future videos. America's fuel supplies have never been tighter. Drivers have been feeling the consequences of this where it hurts them the most. At this point, gas prices are still hovering around $5 per gallon. And that's after a 10% drop recorded over the past 2 weeks. Regardless of the decline, the average price of a gallon of gasoline is still 50% higher than it was a year ago. Believe it or not, over the past month, gas prices rose over 50 cents per gallon, and the slight decrease some drivers have seen since June 6th is likely to be just a temporary blip, according to energy consultancy firm Rystad. U.S. gas prices are likely to surge even higher as inventories continue to dwindle and refineries struggle to keep up with demand. Rystad Energy wrote in a note to clients released on Friday, warning that drivers can expect more fuel price pain ahead. Experts are advising American consumers to start bracing for a $6 national average by the end of the summer. Several West Coast cities such as Los Angeles and San Francisco have already met that mark earlier this month. Stockpiles of refined oil products are falling sharply, and that is a key factor driving up gas prices, according to a Rystad team led by the head of analysis Per Magnus Niceveen. This means there's next to no gasoline that can be released to act as a shock absorber to keep prices down. Oil refineries are also facing unprecedented disruptions, which means they can't produce enough refined products, such as gasoline, to meet demand. Rystad Energy believes that gasoline's slight contraction is only temporary and further upward movement can be expected, Niceveen highlighted. The health crisis battered the industry, and the Russia and Ukraine crisis has added to complications. Since the conflict began, gasoline stock levels have dropped by 30 million barrels in the United States. Many Americans still remember the times when they could get 20 gallons of gas for $20. Needless to say, those times are long gone. And by the end of the summer, 20 gallons of gas may be costing up to $120. That's to say, millions of people won't be able to afford to fill their tanks up anymore. At the same time, the price of diesel has been increasing at an even faster pace. Over the past year, diesel prices have surged by a whopping 75%. And yesterday, another record was broken as prices reached $5.81. Now, that's even more worrying when we consider that truckers use diesel to transport goods all across the country. Now, they're electing shorter routes due to the unprecedented increase, as explained by 22-wheel driver Eric Jammer in a recent interview with NPR, saying, "I can pretty much count on setting on fire $500 to $700 a day minimum," he revealed. Soaring diesel prices threatening to spark a domino effect of price hikes that will impact virtually everything that we consume on a daily basis. On top of that, industry executives are alerting it can also trigger widespread shortages and aggravate already existing supply chain problems. Of course, store shelves are already getting pretty bare all around the nation lately. But we're about to see a new chapter of the everything shortage as conditions in the oil market deteriorate further with each passing week. It's not just gas prices. It is also consumer goods, food, and all services. The diesel prices are particularly alarming because of what machinery uses diesel. Agriculture, trucks, and railroad. All cargo shipping is diesel-powered, so the price of all food that's planted, irrigated, fertilized, harvested, processed, packaged, and transported is being made more expensive at every step of the process. All those costs are passed on to consumers, said Daniel Turner, the executive director of the energy workers advocacy group Power the Future. He added, making energy expensive makes life expensive. And as we spend more money to fill up our cars and buy basic groceries, we will be spending less on entertainment, travel, dining, and shopping. On the same note, John Boyd Jr., the president of the National Black Farmers Association, said during an interview on Monday that Americans will be shocked to see extensive food shortages occurring this year. For so long, we've enjoyed lots of food in this country, so we've never ever faced a food shortage, but I think that's coming in the coming months, he predicts. Of course, diesel is used to transport all kinds of goods, not just food. Over the past 12 months, businesses have been paying more than ever to transport their goods via diesel trucks, while the market also deals with a truck driver shortage. The latest price increases are just one more supply chain issue facing the U.S. economy right now, as prices on all kinds of goods keep going up. But instead of protecting our fuel reserves, we're exporting record amounts of distillates even though we're in the middle of a historic fuel shortage. In March, April, and May, exports of gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel from the U.S. Gulf Coast were up by 32% compared with the same time in 2021. And that's data from the market intelligence firm Kepler showed. With refiners already running at full tilt, something has to give. Bloomberg NEF analyst Danny Adkins emphasized. We either need a redirection of exports or prices will need to rise enough for more significant demand destruction. It is very unlikely that the U.S. government will take action to reduce fuel exports. Consequently, the price of all fuels is only going to get more expensive from here. And at the end of the day, we will be the ones paying for all of that. Even jet fuel prices are jumping, and that is pushing airline fares to spike dramatically. Domestic airline fares for summer are averaging more than $400 for a round trip, 24% higher than this time in 2019 before the pandemic, and a full 45% higher than just a year ago, according to travel data firm Harper. A May survey found that approximately 30% of all Americans say that their travel plans this summer were affected by higher energy prices. Although government officials promised to do everything they could to drive down gasoline prices, the only thing they've done so far was to take more and more fuel out of our strategic reserves. There's no silver bullet, said Benjamin Salisbury, director of research at Height Capital Markets. While Biden has unleashed an unprecedented amount of oil from the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve, other tools at the administration's disposal would come at the expense of environmental protection and have little effect on fuel costs stoked by strained crude supplies and a global shortage of refining capacity. And the one surefire fix for Americans to stop driving so much is largely outside his control, meaning that anything they could do is going to have knock-on effects, and they're probably worse than the benefits, Salisbury explained. The administration has taken heavy criticism for its energy policies that held back oil leases and pipeline development. The president has tried to deflect those critiques, pointing the blame to the Russia and Ukraine conflict, which disrupted global oil markets. Biden has got a case that there is a Russia shock, but the other side has also got a case that if the United States were producing more, the Russia shock wouldn't be such a big deal, outlined Desmond Lackman, an economist at the American Enterprise Institute. He added, "The Biden case is pretty weak when he tries to make it sound like inflation is all Putin's fault because of the oil and food prices, because the truth of the matter was inflation was far too high before February 24th when the conflict began," he added. So in case you haven't figured it out by now, nobody is going to save us from this crisis. We need more refineries, we need more drilling, and ultimately some major technological breakthroughs, because the way that we are currently doing things is not even close to sustainable, and it can take years to restore the market balance. To make things even more complicated, our aging power grids can't handle the growing demand anymore. Last month, the North American Electric Reliability Corporation warned that we would face rolling blackouts this summer. Apparently, widespread power outages have already begun. This week, more than 70,000 customers in Kentucky, nearly 40,000 in Tennessee, are experiencing power outages amid high temperatures and extreme weather events. Southwest Virginia has also been hit, and according to poweroutage.us, there are 10,000 families without power. In Wisconsin, the state's public service and We Energy said power outages are widespread at this point. They'll work around the clock to get the power back on after last week's powerful storms. They've disclosed that storms knocked out power to nearly 160,000 customers. Crews have found substantial damage, with more than 1,000 reports of downed trees, snapped power lines, and broken utility poles. Communities across the Fox Valley and Green Bay are those hardest hit by the storms. Customers in these areas should be prepared for a multi-day restoration effort, says WPS spokesman Matt Cullen. Things are going downhill sooner than expected. Those who don't believe that we are facing the worst energy crisis in U.S. history are just not looking around. But it is safe to say that in a few months, no one will be able to deny what's going on. Soon, everyone will understand that we truly have entered a nightmare with no end in sight. This is the new normal, folks. The shortages are just beginning, and what's coming next is going to be exceedingly painful.